So, Mr. President,
I don't
Mr.
know
President,
that I want to do another debate.
Right. So you do right at the end, as I was interrupting. So you don't know if you want to do another debate. It sounds like you're a no.
Well, I'd be less inclined to, because we had a great night. We won the debate. We had a terrible network. I think they were terrible. They should be embarrassed.
She did practice her facial expressions maybe more than her policy points, because these seem to be very rehearsed, Harris. I mean, we'll put some of them up, like the hand on...
Donald Trump is still very much reeling from last night's debate performance, which can only be described as the worst thing I have ever seen on television. But Trump has decided that he'd like to make it an even worse situation for himself, doubling down on the disaster that was last night and carrying it into this morning, making appearances on all of his favorite safe spaces, on the Fox propaganda network, on OAN, on any right-wing media outlet that will take him and try to make Donald Trump feel a little bit better about how poorly he did last night. But again, he is digging this ditch even deeper for himself, because he cannot defend that terrible performance he gave last night, and neither can his friends. Both the Fox propaganda outlet and Donald Trump's MAGA surrogates in Congress are really unable to come up with an excuse for how poorly they did, and they're just really dropping truth bombs on Donald Trump, admitting that he lost last night and admitting that he is completely out of it, that it was an abject disaster, and someone who went on the record and absolutely brutally shut down Donald Trump and called him out. And I was really shocked by it was Lindsey Graham. But before we get into all of that, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, it really supports what we're doing on this channel now. Like I said, Trump absolutely losing his mind. And before we get to Lindsey Graham, I want to show that in this clip right here from an interview Trump did on Fox this morning.
So, Mr. President,
I don't know that I want to do another debate.
Right. So you do right at the end, as I was interrupting. So you don't know if you want to do another debate. It sounds like you're a no.
Well, I'd be less inclined to, because we had a great night. We won the debate. We had a terrible network. I think they were terrible. They should be embarrassed. I mean, they kept correcting me, and what I said was largely right, or I hope it was right. But what they said was absolutely wrong. The other, what she said, and they refused to correct. I even complained a couple of times. Why aren't you correcting them? Mm-hmm. Look, they should have corrected 6 or 7 times. She told an outright lie. Another one is Project 2025. They know it has nothing to do with me. She mentioned it all night long, and they refused to correct it. And everybody knows I have nothing to do with Project 2025.
Okay. I will just one thing.
But I am not inclined to do it, because I won the debate by a lot. But I think we let it settle in, and let's see what happens.
I will say this.
I think it's so funny that the narrative Trump is now trying to push is that he was so successful in last night's debate. He keeps citing this 92% number. 92% of people said he won the debate. It's obviously nonsense, but if you won, Donald, wouldn't you want to do another? That's what KLA Harris wants to do. She destroyed you in that debate and immediately said, let's do another one. Can we do 3? Can we do 5? Can we do 1 every night? Let's just make it a reoccurring event. So it's funny that that's the narrative he's pushing. And it also just shows how scared he is. And that comes off on Truth Social. Right here, Trump writing in the world of boxing or UFC. When a fighter gets beaten or knocked out, they get up and scream, I demand a rematch. I demand a rematch. Well, it's no different with the debate. She was beaten badly last night. Every poll has us winning, in one case, 92-8. So why would I do a rematch again? Trump is still clearly reeling from last night's horrible debate performance, the reason why he will not likely do another debate. But it is not just Trump who I think really knows how much he failed, but everyone around him who cannot defend his terrible performance. And as I said earlier, Lindsey Graham was chief among them. And when Tim Miller spoke to him last night in the spin room, he dropped a truth bomb on Donald Trump, really just stabbing him in the back. In this reporting right here, Tim Miller of the Bulwark K wrote about the spin room. I asked Graham whether the debate made him more likely to come back around to our anti-Trump view from the glory days of 2016 getting red-faced. The senator lashed out at me saying I should be ashamed for opposing Trump. A heated back and forth ensued when he argued for Trump's record, and I reminded him that the Trump presidency ended with Graham running for his life from the supporters whom the former president had sicked on the Capitol. Eventually, Graham offered a fist bump, leaned in, and with an exasperated grin gave me his candid assessment of the night. Trump's performance was a disaster. Trump was unprepared, and his debate team should be fired. Lindsey Graham admitting to Tim Miller that he knows exactly what everyone else who watched that debate last night knows. Donald Trump was terrible. He was out of control. He was unraveling, and he was showing everyone in America who tuned in why he is unfit to be president, a complete abject failure, and to use Lindsey Graham's words, which is really making me happy that I can use them against Donald Trump, a disaster. And someone talked about how that was absolutely true in a perfect way, was right here with Jasmine Crockett.
First of all, it's really disappointing specifically to see Byron Donalds not just go ahead and say, I'm not sure if the former president was confused or what, considering the fact that Byron Donalds represents Florida. Florida potentially has the largest population of Haitian Americans, and the fact that he would not just say he may have been confused about a story because there's a different story that doesn't have anything to do with migrants whatsoever. He could have potentially tried to do that, but instead they just are trying to glaze over it. Donald Trump looked unhinged, as we know he is, as he stood up there and made up lies, and then he went off on these crazy fantasies, pretending as if even if there had been one person that had done that, why would you attribute an entire group of immigrants to potentially going out and stealing everybody's dogs and cats and eating them? Like, that's just insane. And the fact that this makes sense to him to bring up in a presidential debate is beyond me. But I don't know how you can watch this debate and be undecided. I could see how you walked in maybe undecided. But after watching this, you have to be concerned that the most important position that we have in the world is President of the United States. And if we've got somebody who literally doesn't know who our friends are and who's not our friends, who can't say things like, yes, I want Ukraine to win the war, what Russia did was wrong.
The low light of the night, certainly for Donald Trump, even though there were so many to pick from. Actually, let me know in the comments what moment you thought was the most damaging to Donald Trump. Was it something he said or something that Vice President Harris said to me? It was, they're eating the dogs and the cats line that Jasmine Crockett was talking about right there. A racist, xenophobic attacks on immigrants in Ohio, just absolutely abs to push a conspiracy theory like that. Now, of course, this is what we expect of Donald Trump. We cover him every day. We know this is how he behaves, but to do it on national television during a debate, absolutely insane. He knows he cannot control himself, and it's why he won't do another debate, which is exactly what Senator Chris Murphy said, slamming Donald Trump on Fox News of all places, right here.
Together, they see one candidate, Kamala Harris, who is composed, who looks presidential, and they see the other candidate, Donald Trump, melting down on stage, offering these wild lies, still telling the country that he won the 2020 election, making up things about immigrants eating pets. That's why 90% of people thought Kamala Harris won the debate. If Donald Trump thinks he won, then he should be eager as a campaign tactic to get back up on that stage. But of course, we know that he knows he lost. He knows last night was a disaster. That's why he rushed over to the spin room last night to try to change the narrative, and that's why he is this morning refusing to debate, refusing even to debate on Fox News. He's rejected your network's offer to debate. That's the friendliest territory for Donald Trump, and he won't even debate on Fox News because he knows that when he and Kamala Harris are on a stage together, he just doesn't look like a leader, and she does.
Well, he did not commit one way or another. He said he was leaning against not doing another debate. But Fox sent a letter to your campaign, her campaign, asking and gave you guys 3 dates, Martha and Brett as moderators. Do you think that's a good idea? To be on Fox doing a debate? Oh, come on, Senator, you're on Fox right now.
I am on Fox right now, but I probably wouldn't advise Donald Trump to go on Pod Save America to do a debate with Kamala Harris. I don't think it's a point even worth talking about because he refused your offer. He doesn't want to do a debate on Fox News on the terms that you've offered because he knows he would lose that debate.
It's so funny to me that Fox has to defend Donald Trump while he essentially refuses to let them try to help him. He won't do a debate on Fox. I'm sure if he accepted it, KLA Harris would happily as well, because she'd go anywhere to do that again to absolutely trounce Donald Trump. But they're trying to defend him while he is attacking them. And their cope is so hard, it's so funny to watch them try to reckon with what last night was, and one of the most ridiculous OU's examples of Fox's defense that Donald Trump came right here.
She did practice her facial expressions maybe more than her policy points because these seem to be very rehearsed, Harris. I mean, we'll put some of them up, like the hand on the chin, seem to be practiced.
Well, I mean, they wanted her, I would imagine, her debate prep team to look more comfortable than sometimes she comes across looking with the giggling and the weird accents and all the...
Are they really trying to say that Kamala Harris laughing at Donald Trump making a fool of himself last night was an issue? I'm surprised she wasn't laughing more. They said her facial expressions were too muted. Is that Again, I never know what Fox is trying to argue. They're really just unraveling at this point. They don't know what to say. But I am surprised that Kamala Harris wasn't bursting out laughing more. She really contained herself. Well, I can't imagine being up on that debate stage with Donald Trump. I was laughing and shocked the entire time. And so, of course, Kam Harris. Someone with poise. Someone who is a leader able to control herself, unlike Donald Trump, because she's an adult and she's who we need to be president. And if you want to support that message, as always, you can hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video, because we're going to keep bringing that message on this channel every single day. And until next time, I'll see you soon.